Here we are, something queen song, something in the princess of the universe, or something. Hello everyone, it's another week of comic books, here with your friend, Carlz. Well, today, or maybe this week, I actually have a couple of news I want to talk about. Um, they are kind of like interconnected or interrelated, but it's fun because there are two things that have happened in the past week. One is that Marvel is rebranding the Superior Iron Man run as the Rise of Doom in a awfully strange, I don't know how you call it. Basically, for those who haven't read the Superior Iron Man, was when Doctor Doom was actually Iron Man for a bit. He tried to be a good guy, etc., etc. He had his own Iron Man suit that was halfway powered by magic, and the whole storyline ended with some revelations about Doctor Doom's mother and the legacy of his magic. Of course, by now we know that it ended in nothing, but there's something really curious that goes on, especially in Marvel, because for some reason DC doesn't do that much, and they try to juggle in between the movies and the games, and sometimes they jump from one universe to another. But this one is a big one because basically by now we know very little about the main plot of Avengers. What is it called? Doomsday, the next Avengers movie, which is set to come out like 2026. I think it's by the end of 2026, which is not. I mean, it's a year long, but you'll be surprised how fast time jumps. To my reckoning, like we should be seeing some teasers of Doomsday by what, March, probably. But anyways, the fact that they decided to do this rebranding and put all of the Superior Iron Man titles on sale and such, you can get the trades for on sale. It's, I don't know, if it ends up being nothing and they're just manipulating the, I don't know, the characters to have more exposure, it is kind of cheap, doesn't it? And if it turns out that it has something to do, like the movie takes quotes or takes ideas from the comic book, if that's the case, well, then there's a lot of unpack there. Because it would basically mean that, kind of like confirming that the fact that they got Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom is directly tied to Superior Iron Man and the fact that he was Iron Man in the MCU. So I don't know, it can mean a lot of things, but surely for Marvel's delight it would mean that sales of that book are gonna come up. If I could get the trade for Superior Iron Man, I would get it. Wait, what was the name of the? Yeah, I've been confusing it. Right, I had it on my notes. I've been calling it Superior Iron Man, but it's Infamous Iron Man. Apologies. Superior Iron Man was when Tony Stark got even crappier as a person. So scratch everything. I mean, no, keep everything that I said, but change Superior Iron Man for Infamous Iron Man. But Infamous Iron Man: The Rise of Doom is gonna, I don't know, hopefully mean something. It's newsworthy because people always want to know about the new movie things, but I don't really care that, to be honest. I mean, I'm surely gonna see it. I'm gonna pay attention to whatever they say about it, but I don't really care for the movies no more. That's just how it goes. And the other news that is related to Marvel, and as I said, they are on kind of like the same vibe, is that they announced as part of the next X-Men phase that Galacta is gonna make her debut on the main Marvel 616 universe. As I've said many times, this whole Shadows of Tomorrow initiative, the next phase of the X-Men universe, I've been trying to read as less as I can. I know the titles of the main books and everything, like the famous Cyclops solo book, whatever. I don't want to know much of what's going on because we are still in the middle or like close to the end of the Age of Revelation. I don't want to know that much. But this new story was quite interesting. And as I said, it's related to the previous one. I'm not 100% sure how well Marvel Rivals is doing or not doing. But to have Galacta coming to the comics, and not like a Marvel Rivals comic, but like the main Storm comic book, it's just, I think it's, again, either a nod to how well the books the game is doing, or they are trying to boost it. I don't know. You see my point? The dynamic Marvel has in between all of the platforms they use their characters and IPs for is so bizarre. So bizarre. Like, you gotta wonder how many people that play Rivals are gonna read the comic because Galacta is gonna be in it, or how many people that will pick the book is gonna play Rivals because Galacta is in it. I would really love to see that number, that crossover number of is this really a strategy that works? I don't know. But since I consume almost everything they do, it's great for me. Like, for me, it's so funny and so like, I don't know. It's just fun. It's just fun to have these characters jump around. I don't know if it works financially for them, but to me, it's fun. And I guess that's the most you can ask for it. But anyways, let's dive into this week's comic books. I've been sneaky. Not. I mean, I am, but I'm not gonna recommend the Absolute Batman in particular. I'm just gonna use this week's issue to review, or like make a short review of the end of the previous story arc, the one featuring Bane. Oh my god, that was awesome. The end of the Bane story, it was incredible. But you know what it made me think about? How this Absolute Batman and most of the Absolute titles, they have this presence of, you can call it like type of compression. They seem to be moments, like I keep wondering how are these books gonna like grow into the future. Is this initiative gonna last forever? I guess it really can't. Absolute Batman in particular has been so good because of that. It feels like is this short moment in time where everything is happening, everything is so fast, everything is so intense. And now, like, just look at that fucking Joker, right? Everything has been so intense, and in the end of the, I'm not gonna spoil it, but in the end of the Bane story arc, it seems like they like vomited, for a lack of a better expression, story like origin story for the Gallery of Rogues. They fast forwarded. Is his name Alfred? He just called him Pennyworth. I'm not sure if his name is Alfred, but this universe, Alfred, the relationship with Bruce, the relationship with Catwoman, the ideology behind Batman, how dirty and rough it is. But that my main thought when reading the end of that story arc was like, this can't be this can't keep going on like this forever. I mean, you probably can, but I don't think it's a good health advice to be living in some sort of like the climax of like the most intense moment of a story. That's how it feels. That is how it feels. And like the end was crazy. The tone was over the top, and if I could consume a book like this forever, I wonder if we would get bored of it. The novelty of it hasn't gone away. how it looks and how it feels, and the story's intensity hasn't really gone down either. It still works, but I wonder if it will do it forever. But anyways, that was a mini review of Absolute Batman, the end of the Bane story arc. And of course, I'm gonna recommend what's next. How can it slow down? Will it? Should it? I don't know. Next. Remember how I say, what is Spider-Man doing this week? And I gotta say, the way they split up the Amazing Spider-Man between the two main stories, one concerning Osborn and the other one concerning Peter, it's been interesting to say the least. But why I think the current run of Amazing Spider-Man is so entertaining, because it has the same like Spider-Man trope of him like running from not responsibility but like running from his emotions, and he runs out of, into space and whatnot. It has the classic Spider-Man tropes, but it feels like an adventure. You know, you can't underestimate how good it feels for a book about this big of a character to feel like an adventure. It's like I don't know, like you feel like a kid again. It's like, okay, what is Spider-Man doing, or what is Spider-Man suffering and crying about this week? Just a new rogue that came out, and like, of course, I'm making it sound worse than it is, but the current run feels like an adventure, and I'm loving it. Like, if I had the chance to just go and have an adventure out in space, dude, I would do it. So Spider-Man is out in space, testing new powers, making new friends, experiencing new things. Of course, he is avoiding responsibilities back on Earth, and it's gonna come bite him in the ass. But that concept of him having an adventure out in space is so fun and so entertaining that perhaps only if only for that, I would recommend the current run on Amazing Spider-Man. And for all Spider-Man, like, not loyalists, but like for all people that want the classic Spider-Man things, don't worry, don't worry. They're gonna happen. They are. They're gonna happen. The whole coming back and the whole crying and everything. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. Don't worry. Well, I just noticed that I put my lo-fi right on the end. Jeez. There you go. Put my lo-fi on the end. It was gonna end. Next. So the All Fight Month. What a such a stupid name. But but anyways, this is KO event is going on strong. The main KO storyline has been great. I mentioned it before, but now they are like trimming down the amount of characters participating in the tournament. Like in KO number 2, yeah, it's number 2. They just like they just took out so many of them. They just took them out. It was so funny. It was like, okay, now you are all eliminated. It was so funny because in the end, it kind of shows you what they want to do, right? They shows you which characters they want to focus on. But so now that we are in the more like nitty gritty of the event, this All Fight Month is gonna show us how they use this in a like programmatic way, if you can see it, because now we have the characters that matter halfway through. So if they show these characters, it just means that they're gonna say or do something about them. In the case of this first recommendation for Aquaman versus Hawkman, these are not characters that I love at all, at all. But they have been doing a lot of interesting things with Aquaman, turning him into some sort of like the sorry, the avatar of the blue, or something. It's crazy. But why am I mentioning this book in like sort of like an or is that is a word, right? Organizational way, because what else can you say about them, and how can you position them into something else? So to me, all of these fights, they are gonna come into two main sort of categories. They are either gonna do something fun with the characters that they haven't done before, or they're gonna just gonna have them like have a moment, like have a fight and have fun. But in this case, I wonder if they're gonna do something with them. What was the last thing Hawkman did like of relevancy? None. Never been one of my favorite characters. Neither is Aquaman. But anyways, I'm gonna pick up all of the fights, looking for clues on what they're gonna do with the characters, or like what is gonna be the vibe of the book. Is it gonna be just fun brawling, or like there's gonna be something below it? Next, it seems that the Green Lantern corpse keep appearing on my recommendations. I've been loving it. I've made no small comment on it. But now this Green Lantern Corps, the new class, it, I want to use this book to sort of like not criticize, but the Starbreaker supremacy and the whole uh, event that end up with that just finished up, right? It was so strong, and of course you gotta have like a soft reset. You gotta bring these characters down, and you gotta get new stories about it. But I'm surprised of how much of my attention just went away after the event. So the event ends, and then you have Hal Jordan doing Hal Jordan is the protagonist star again, you know. And this new class storyline is like, okay, these are the new Green Lanterns. They're like young and cheapy and cute, and haha, let's have everything feels so standardized now that the event is over. I know this is something that is supposed to happen. You can't, as I just said with Absolute Batman, you can't live on like a peak emotion all the time. But I don't know, they feel so weak and traditional. Why am I recommending the new class then? Because as opposed of as opposing to Hal Jordan just being Hal Jordan again and being like the star and anything, these are new characters. You can never discount the possibility of a breakout new character. Despite the fact that the Green Lanterns are pretty popular and pretty big in the DC universe, there's no doubt that they're not the main ones. It's really unlikely any of these characters are gonna be big breakout characters, but they might be breakout characters for the Green Lantern Corps, or like inside the Green Lantern Corps. You see? So the new class and the whole Green Lantern Corps, I recommend it if you are into Green Lantern. But like, just hold on, hold on, because that transition from the end of the previous event is gonna make you wish for more. Next. This is another like interesting update. I finally got the chance to read Infernal Hulk #1, and for something that was so highly expected, it felt so much like an introduction book and like an introduction issue. And I don't want to spoil the big twist, but I think we are in the presence of like a cycle type of thing. What do I mean by this? Uh, I'm treading lightly because I don't want to spoil, but the characters that have appeared and sort of the mechanics they seem to be introducing seems to point towards a story that is gonna end up basically like reinstating the status quo of the character. This is my impression, right? Because the previous status quo changed for the Hulk, and then when they did the whole Philip Kennedy Johnson and that horror saga and everything, when it began, it was quite something. And you can ask whether the Infernal Hulk is an evolution of that status quo change, or like kind of like a reset, like a beginning of a reset. It's gonna be interesting to see, though. At least the art, the violence, and like the sheer just amount of, like, how can you say, like in your face absurd that was issue number one. It certainly opens your eyes to whatever they're gonna do with this run. As I said, I have suspicion that this is gonna have like that cycle type of thing. But at least Infernal Hulk number one, again, I'm using another book to do a small review of the previous one. It set up perfectly the vibe for the book, and I love that they didn't move away from the previous horror-oriented Hulk. I'm so happy they haven't moved away from it. And as I said last week with the Ryan North Hulk Smash Everything, that new book, I'm thinking they're gonna leave some fun for that book. But I don't know. I guess the big question is, do you like your Hulk as a hero or just as this crazy ass character? Honestly, I haven't even missed the Hulk in like Avengers or something. When was the last time he was like a main Avengers key player? When was the last time that was like that? That was a long time. But anyways, Infernal Hulk still super interesting. Super interesting, and now even more so that I have my own theories about what they want to do with it. So Infernal Hulk number 2. Next. I have such weird feelings about these new Avengers. Doing the callback to the beginning of today's episode, when I was talking about how they Marvel particularly juggle between the different platforms or versions they put their characters on. When this book began, this new run on these quote unquote new Avengers, it was obviously not tied, but it was obviously like using the energy of the movie, the Thunderbolts of now we know they were the new Avengers. They were using the hype of the movie to show this new book, and they shows. Speaking of the Hulk, by the way, they shows an odd set of characters, and it seems that every element on the new Avengers book was related to let's make something. Sorry. Let's make something controversial, perhaps. Perhaps that was the aim. They had a bunch of characters, and they have a bunch of relationships between them, and the main antagonists were clones of the Illuminati. In paper, this is a book that should work. Sorry, on paper. Yeah. On paper, this is a book that should work. But it's been so lukewarm. It feels like in name and in concept it should be more impactful than what it already is. And then you might say, like, then why are you recommending New Avengers issue 7? And I think that I'm recommending it out of like mostly curiosity. Even though they have made clones of the Illuminati some of the most like powerful and interesting heroes of the Marvel universe, the way they dispatch of them has been less than impressive. But as I said, there's a curiosity factor in how these characters interact. And even though you have like Carnage, X-23, Black Widow, like you have all of these characters doing like potentially impactful things in this book, you know they're not gonna be like a big deal. Ultimately, as I said, it's all about curiosity. Are they gonna do something fun? Are they gonna change these characters? I don't know. I feel like this book could have been called something different. I think they even joked about them being rather the Thunderbolts than the new Avengers. But to me, the main thing is, as I said, curiosity and the Winter Soldier. Um, After he was Revolution, I think Bucky Barnes has like a lot of potential, a lot of potential. I hope they refocus this book only in Black Widow and Bucky, who are like the leaders of the group, and they end up giving us like something more impactful, at least from them. So, half-hearted recommendation for the new Avengers. Yeah, it's curious. If you are curious as me, might as well read it up. Next, in today's other non-Marvel, non-DC recommendation from like this book piqued my interest. My interest is called Our Soot Stained Heart, and the cover, it says the first chapter of a steampunk Santa story by Mr. Johnny Hag and Mr. Stepan Morian, in which the unlikely messenger reaches the end of the world. Now, this is a new comic author, and the thing that caught my attention was that it's his comic book debut, and he's from Finland, Johnny Hag. And this is my own personal, could you call it like prejudice? Could be, but it looks so metal, isn't it? So the story of this character that's gonna go to the ends of the world in like a winterland, and the art. I know the artist from. I read the 20th Century Men book, where he was the artist, and I don't remember much about it except that it was quite violent. It was another of those image books that were like sometimes too weird for their own good. But it was intense and the art was quite violent. So I have this Viking type of prejudice going over to this book, but the the art looked awesome. Like you can see the frost on the characters. What do you call that? Is that a coat? But you can see the frost in it. So my imagination is immediately transported to some black metal type of winterland full of darkness and violence. You know, the art is perfect. They have like this cold. What do you call that? Like when you are these white people, they are so white. They go out into the frost, and the first thing they get these glowy cheeks. I don't know. The cover just caught me, and then when I read that the author was from Finland, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be depressive and violent, and like in a way so metal. Does Finland still have like one of the highest suicide rates or something? I remember once reading something about that. Well, that tells you of the emotional state that I have, or that the book may have. I don't know. But Our Soot Stained Heart, this is the non Marvel, non DC, non Image recommendation for the week. It looks awesome and it feels like metal as fuck. Sad as fuck. So, might as well put on some, like, what? I was gonna say Nightwish. Nightwish is not that sad. But, like, get your favorite Nordic black metal and read this book. I'm looking forward to it. Next. Um, I remember talking about Supergirl one back when this run began, and like this is an update basically. How I was expecting her to be more like the man. I'm so bitter for this. More like the new 52 Supergirl, and I don't know. Supergirl Yeah, this week they are showing the first teaser for the Supergirl movie, which is based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, which is not dark but like quite an intense book that to me captures the main ethos of Kara Sor-El as a character. And the great thing about that is that she's not Superman, right? She got to be a teen on Krypton before Krypton was destroyed. So she's naturally jaded, and she is more irreverent. She wasn't brought up on on purity and values. And I feel like now, on hindsight, this is issue 8 of the current run, I think. Yeah, it is. In hindsight, they have moved away from that. And it's okay. It's okay to make her a more quirky character. But I feel like they already did a little bit of that with the Power Girl book. What is the Power Girl's name now? Like, she's not Kara anymore. She's like Karen? But, anyways, I feel like that aspect of the super family was so much in Supergirl. But anyways, now they're going into a new story arc of this run, and it just feels so teenagey, so how can you say? I don't mean I don't want to sound mean because it's not bad, but it just doesn't scratch my itch with the character. It just doesn't. I like the group of characters, including the new Kryptonian, and it's not Lena Luthor, it's the daughter, right? So I like the mix of characters they have, but if they're not gonna inject some like big plot, and with big plot I mean something that is relevant for a bigger dimension of characters, not only for the ones involved. They are, after all, Supergirl and a Luthor. Unless they're gonna inject something into that, uh, I'm not totally sold on this direction of the character. I guess I'm stuck into the more jaded Kara, more like cynical and just sometimes even mean. But why am I recommending it now then? Because the movie is gonna be important, and as you might have noticed, that is like the main topic of this week's episode. Will the potential success, well, with all these mergers and stuff, I don't know. I mean, I doubt they will cancel the Supergirl movie or something. Like, I really doubt it. But will that bring Supergirl in the main books into that other vibe that I liked? That is the big question. DC doesn't do that often as Marvel does, but it might happen. So Supergirl has been okay. It has been okay, interesting, and the characters have potential. Even if it's by name alone, they do have the potential. So remains interesting. But with the movie coming out, it's a good like time to get into Supergirl and like get involved. Like I'm not like I'm not like saying like anything more than just reading it. That level of being involved, but that's more than enough. So next, has anyone read The Darkness? This is almost like out of nowhere recommendation. I don't know anything about The Darkness. Anything. Like, if you grew up like when Image just came out and you were into comics, you probably seen pictures of The Darkness, some cover art and whatever, but I don't know anything about it. And you know what this made me think? You know, like, what is that other famous character, the Savage Dragon guy. Like there are so many iconic Image characters that I don't give a shit, that I never read about. Like I don't know anything about these characters, anything, and they are like iconic characters of the brand. And I don't know shit about it. Will I get my or sink my teeth or like I was gonna say dump my attention? Is that an expression? I don't know. But will I go into the darkness this time? I don't really know. I don't really know. I recommend it for like people that are like in my position, who are honestly wondering whether they should experience this character or not. I have no idea. I have no idea. And it feels strange. It feels so strange. You know? Does anyone is there many darkness fans out there? Especially because I did it with Witchblade, another characters of like or like franchise that I didn't know anything, and I got into the latest volume, you can call it, or the latest run or revival of the Witchblade. It has been okay, just like New York rough detectives with some supernatural flair to it. It's been okay, but nothing that iconic. I don't know. Let's just put this one on the column of maybe. And you know why it's not a sure and just a maybe? Because even though it's an iconic character, you just sort of get the vibe of him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you know exactly what it's gonna be about, but you already get the vibe of it. You see the cover and like, I think I know where this is going. Just keep in mind, if I come back and update you on the darkness, it's because I chose to try it, to experience it. But as of now, I don't know nothing about the character, and my interest is like mid, at best. Next, another one that has my interest is in mid. I've never been that much into the whole 2099 sort of Spider-Man universe. Uh, I don't know. Like I remember a previous, like really previous old volume where like the what is his name? Like Pedro Morales or something. Where he came to the present and like I don't know. The fact that it's not Peter Parker, I don't know. I wish I knew someone that was like straight up fan of the whole 2099 sort of storylines. I never cared for it. I never cared for it, and like they're jumping into deeper into the future. They're gonna jump 1,000 years into the 3099 sort of story. I don't know, the whole 2099 saga of heroes. It felt to me, no disrespect, but it always felt generic. Like the future version of the characters, it just felt like they had that dystopian element that they kept repeating again and again. Like, I don't know, man. It never really had an appeal for me. I feel like it never had a really novelty or entertaining factor. So now that Spider-Man 3099 is gonna be a thing, I don't know. I don't know. I think this one always goes just as the previous one into the curiosity row. Like it does. Like the 3099 characters. If I think that the 2099 characters are like a little trope heavy and ultimately not that interesting, I wonder how the 3099 characters are gonna be. So this is all curiosity. they do 2099 to sort of imply a far out future, which it has like the Back to the Future curse. 2099, we're in 2025, man. We're in 2025. You know what that means? 70 years. It's a lifetime. So kids that are being born like between now and like 2 or 3 years, they are gonna be alive, hopefully, if the world doesn't implode. They're gonna be alive in 2099. And I guarantee you there will be no fucking Spider-Man, and like maybe the AI that he uses, the Lila thing, maybe that's gonna be a thing. But all of these dystopian tropes, they're not gonna be there. We are living our own dystopian capitalist neoliberal hellhole. Like we're already there. Like, so I guess maybe they are jumping to 3099 because 2099 is just too damn close. Maybe that's what they're doing. Like shit, man. 2099, that's way too close. Let's ramp it up to 3099. So you see, it's all about curiosity. And that makes this book that I'm like lukewarm about my book of the week. Because that idea to me is so funny. It's so funny. It's like, let's talk about the future. 2099. Right? And they're like, shit, that's way too close. Let's ramp it up to 3099. And you know, when they talk about the Jetsons and all of those shows, Back to the Future, shows from the 80s and maybe 90s, that they dreamt about the future. And whenever they dreamt of the future, they say like, oh, the 2000s. We are a quarter on the first century of the new millennium, right? 2025. And everything just sucks. We just have just fucking like AI. Where are the fun stuff? Where are the robots and the flying cars and like, I don't know, where is all of that shit? Certainly not in my house. I can't even afford like VR. Like fuck. Like where's that future? And the fact that the comics are jumping to 3099 tells you that they are either like, I don't know, they're like, let's imagine further into the future. You see my point? Is like all of these tropes and images and ideas for the 2000s, they already didn't happen, or they happen in a really shitty way, or for really rich people. So now we see ourselves on the necessity of thinking of 3099. You guys see what that means? You see what that means? We dreamt for the 2000s. We dreamt for the new millennium. And I guess now we're forced to dream about the next one. That's it. So, the end, 2099. Bring it, Marvel. Bring it. What's gonna happen in the year 3000? Just bring it. Looking forward to it. I might be the brain in a bed, if I'm not already the brain in a bed. So, last recommendation of the week. Let's go through it quick. I just wanna say that this is gonna be fun. This one of part of the All Fight Month and DC's KO event. This is just gotta be fun. Just gotta be fun. Wonder Woman has been on fire. Tom King's run has been incredible. Absolute Wonder Woman has been so fun, Lordfield. And by the way, I predicted that they were gonna focus the whole new, not a Justice League, but they were gonna bring these characters together on Absolute Wonder Woman, and that's what they did, and they did it brilliantly. Immediately positioning Absolute Wonder Woman in like a leadership sort of role, creating that like a worldwide event context where her powers and her influence are the more important one. Like next issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, she's meaning Absolute Batman. That's that's what I gotta say. But Wonder Woman has been awesome. So let's hope they take this chance to just have her have fun. I don't care for Lobo, fuck Lobo. But so let's hope she kicks his ass. So the other all fight title of this week is the potentially lore heavy, and to me this is the potentially fun heavy. That was supposed to be the balance of the event. So let's see if they deliver. That's it. Wow, I went a little bit overboard, but that's the week's that is this week's comics recommendations from me. We are 3 weeks from the end of the year. Not 1 year close to, I mean, 1 year closer to 3099. Man, anyone has any idea what the year 3000 is gonna be? All I know is that we must lower our expectations. Well, I think we had way too higher of an expectation for 2000. We had too higher of an expectations, and that was never going to be the case. It just wasn't. Because capitalism will never allow um, like the basic technological commodities that we dreamed of. They were never meant to be for everyone, and as long as they are not for everyone, the world is not gonna move into like a futuristic state, you know. Perhaps the rich are gonna live in the clouds like the Jetsons, but the rest of us, we are doomed to just ask ChatGPT and Grok for like banana bread recipes. That is our year 2000. But anyways, keep reading, keep imagining, and who knows, maybe we'll be here in the year 3099. What is Spider-Man doing this week? The week of the year 3099. Who knows? By then, perhaps he will be written by AI. Fuck. Have a great week, everyone. Keep on reading, keep on dreaming. Hoi, peace out.